on Japan. We will also be showing you several primary sources related to the Manhattan Project and the events surrounding the final days of World War II. At the end of the lesson, we'd like to know whether you feel Truman's decision to utilize the atomic bomb on Japan was the correct one or not. Harry Truman was a politically comfortable senator from Missouri who rose out of obscurity when he was surprisingly selected to be the vice presidential candidate for FDR's fourth term. He ascended to the presidency in a very critical time in our nation's history. He was brought into the loop very late concerning the utilization of the Manhattan Project, which had been going on for a few years during FDR's third term. The crucial to the argument of whether the decision to drop the atomic bomb was right or not is you need to look at the opinions of his top generals, his top scientists, his top advisors, who were also FDR's top generals, top advisors, and top scientists. Even the staunchest detractors of the nuclear technology were all about using the bomb at least once. O.C. Brewster was an engineer early on in the Manhattan Project who basically said that it would be okay to use the nuclear bomb one time on Japan, but after that, any further deployment or research into nuclear technology wouldn't be necessary. Nonetheless, some historians paint a different picture. Truman obviously had to make a very critical decision as to whether or not to drop the bomb. He was only vice president for 82 days prior to ascending to the presidency. So you have to imagine there's this guy, he's a senator from Missouri. He was basically plucked out of relative obscurity to become FDR's vice president. FDR dies 82 days later. I think they'd only even met one time to discuss policy. So he came into the whole Manhattan Project discussion completely flying blind. So he had a lot of decisions to make. And he ultimately made the decision to drop the bomb. Some historians have said that it was the wrong decision, that perhaps invading Japan would have been more successful. Some of the other people argue the other point that by dropping the bomb, he not only saved American lives by not having to invade Japan, but he also saved the lives of the enemies by continuing to prolong the war through an invasion of Japan. But the bottom line is that there are scholars on both sides of the decision as to whether Truman should or should not have dropped the bomb. But let me ask you, do you think the same scrutiny would have been applied equally to FDR had he lived out his fourth term? Does anyone have any input on that? Would he have been raked over the proverbial coals the same way that Truman perhaps has been over the last 40 years? Is everyone getting this? Am I boring you? Should we try a different tactic, maybe?
Yes.
Are you guys too old to remember the Fresh Prince of BelAire? I mean, I'm 35. I don't care. I'll tell you. I grew up on the Fresh Prince of BelAire. So you may think I'm nerdy or whatever, but whatever. Let's do this. Hit it. Now this is a lesson all about how Japan's war footing got flipped upside down. So take 20 minutes, just sit right there. I'll tell you how it came to be. We dropped the bomb from the air. In shockwaves at the Alamo Border Bomb and Gunnery Range. Trying to get the max in the blast to look cool, but then some kamikaze pilots said it's all for a fool. See, a couple of guys who were up to no good started making trouble, and we felt we should jump into the fight to get ourselves prepared so we could drop a fat man on that country over there. A missile or a bomb, you better stand clear, because you'll likely die from cancer in less than a year. If anything, the Japanese thought this isn't fair, but Truman ordered, hey, let's end this war with some flair. Yes, 6 of 45 on the Enola Gay. A little boy fell out of a plane's Bombay. Soon the Japanese kingdom was full of despair, so they fell on their sword to stop the bombs from the air.